So hello guys, in this video we are going to be discussing the solution to the problem job interview, which appeared in today's educational Codeforces round 166. So in the problem statement, they have given that there are n plus 1 candidates and there are n jobs for programming and m jobs for testing, and each candidate has a programming skill. Suppose the programming skill of the ith candidate is pi and a testing skill, suppose the testing skill of the ith candidate is ti. So how will we assign these candidates to their jobs? So we will assign a candidate to a programming job if his programming skill is greater than his testing skill. So if pi greater than ti, we will assign that candidate to a programming job. But if ti greater than pi, if his testing skill is greater than his programming skill, we will assign that candidate to a testing job. Got it? But there will be a time when either when one of programming or testing jobs will become completely filled. So one of these jobs will get filled completely. So after that point, we will assign all candidates irrespective of their programming and testing skill to the job that is not filled. So suppose after a certain amount of time, the testing jobs m gets filled. So after this particular point, we will assign all the candidates to the programming job irrespective of their programming and testing skills. So what we have to find is, okay, and so the programming skill, the total programming skill will be equal to the total programming skill will be equal to the programming skill of all the candidates who got the programming job. Programming skill of candidates who got the programming job, who got programming job. Similarly, the total testing skill will be equal to the testing skill of all the candidates who got the testing job. Now the total skill will be equal to total programming skill plus total testing skill. Got it? Now what we have to find is, so since there are n plus m plus 1 candidates, we will iterate through the candidates, and if suppose in the current iteration we are on the ith candidate, if we are on the ith candidate, we will exclude that candidate. We will not consider that candidate. We will assign the other candidates jobs, and we will find the total skill and we will print that particular skill. So this is what the problem asks us to do. If we are on the ith candidate, we will exclude that particular candidate and we will find the total programming skill after assigning the jobs to the other candidates, and the total testing skill after assigning the jobs to the other candidates, and we will print that. So we have to print it n plus m plus 1 time, and in each time, like we will in each iteration we will exclude the ith candidate and print the total skill excluding that candidate. So how will this work? Now one observation that we can make this is the crucial observation. One observation that we can make is that, okay, suppose this is a sample test case. This is a sample test case, and suppose there are n is equal to 3 programming jobs and m is equal to 4 testing jobs, and these are the n plus m plus 1 candidates. These are the programming skills of each candidate, and these are the testing skills of each candidates. Okay, so now we will assign these candidate jobs one by one. Okay, now we will make a quick dry run through this particular candidates list for the, okay, now initially nobody has been assigned programming jobs and nobody has been assigned testing jobs. So the number of people in programming jobs is equal to 0, and the number of people in testing jobs is equal to 0. Now when we reach here, we see that this candidate's programming skill is greater than his testing skill. So we will assign the candidate to the programming job. So, and when we reach here, we see that the testing skill of this particular candidate is greater than his programming skill. So we will assign that candidate to the testing job. So one programming job got filled now and one testing job got filled now. And when we reach here, the programming skill is greater than the testing skill, so we will assign the candidate to the testing programming job. So 2 people are there in the programming job and one person is there in the testing job. And when we reach here, this guy's programming skill is greater than his testing skill, so we will assign this guy to the programming job. Okay, now here is the interesting part. When we reach this particular point, the number of programming jobs reaches its capacity. We cannot accommodate any more candidate in the programming job, because the total number of programming jobs is equal to n is equal to 3, and the number of, we have given 3 people, already given 3 people programming jobs. So now we can't accommodate more candidates for the programming job. So this is a crucial index. So we will call this particular point as check. So this is the point where either the testing jobs get filled or the programming jobs get filled, and we will call this particular index. So this is the 0, 1, 2, 3, third index. We will call check as the third index. Why I did this? You will get to know why I did this. After this particular point, all the candidates will be assigned to the testing job. All the candidates will be assigned to the testing job irrespective of their programming and testing skills, because the testing job is the only one which has vacancy. Now, okay, now I will exclude each candidate one by one from the back. I found it more easier. You can also do it from the front. I will do it from the back. So I will exclude this candidate first. I will exclude this candidate first, and I will compute the total skill if this candidate was not there. So how will we do that? We will do that by first finding the total skill including all the candidates. So what will be the total skill including all the candidates? Okay, we will compute the total skill including all the candidates. So here we took a programming guy because programming skill was greater. So 4 plus, here we took a programming guy plus 2. Here we took a testing guy. So plus 2. Here we took a programming guy plus 5. Here we took a programming guy plus 6. Now the programming jobs got filled. After this point, we will take the testing people exclusively. Plus 4 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. What is the total skill? Total skill will be equal to 6 plus 5, 11. 11 plus 6 is equal to 17. 17 plus 4 is equal to 21. 21 plus 5 is equal to 26. 26 plus 1 is equal to 27. 27 plus 1 is equal to 28. So this will be the total skill that we will get if we include all the candidates. Now if we want to find the skill, the total skill excluding this particular candidate, we have to subtract total skill including all candidates minus the skill that we chose of this particular candidate. The skill that we will choose from this particular candidate will be the testing skill, right? Because only the testing vacancy is there. So we have to compute that as well. So after this particular index, we will check whether what job is left. So for all the candidates after this particular index, we will assign that particular candidate to the job which has vacancy, right? So we also have to keep track which job is left. So if the programming job is left, I will put job which is equal to 0. If the testing job is left, I will put which is equal to 1. So that's what I did here. So since which is equal to 1, which job is equal to 1, I will subtract total skill minus 1, since we are using the testing skill of this particular candidate. It will be equal to 27. Total skill is equal to 28 minus 1 is equal to 27. So this is the total skill excluding this particular candidate. Similarly, we can compute the total skill excluding this particular candidate. So that will be equal to 28 minus 1. So here also 1, 28 minus 1 is equal to 27. Similarly, we can compute the total skill excluding this particular candidate. It will be equal to 28 minus 5. It will be equal to 23. So for all the candidates after this particular checkpoint, we can compute their total skill using this method. Now the interesting part comes for the candidates before or at the check index. So how will we compute the total skill excluding those candidates? So I will tell you the approach. The approach is, so if we exclude the candidate at the checkpoint, so I will give you an example for excluding the candidate at the checkpoint. The process will be similar for all the candidates before the checkpoint as well. So if we exclude this particular candidate at the checkpoint, the number of programming job vacancy will become 2. The number of programming jobs filled, the number of programming jobs filled will become equal to 2, and the number of testing jobs filled will become equal to 1, right? So and then we will try to fill these jobs, but we have not reached the that particular, but we have not reached the particular check index, because neither of the jobs are totally filled. Here comes the interesting part. So we know that eventually this particular programming job will get filled, right? Because we know that eventually this programming job will get filled. So even if we exclude the candidate at the checkpoint, there will be some guy here who has programming skill greater than testing skill. Actually, it is not a necessary condition, but let us suppose there is a guy. When we exclude this particular guy, after excluding this particular guy, there is some guy here who has the programming skill greater than testing skill. So actually we can bring that guy over here and we can fill that particular job. How is that? But for that to work, so bringing a guy who has programming skill greater than testing skill over here, from here to here, and filling this particular position to work, we have to find the first candidate who has programming skill greater than testing skill. So here candidates are there who has programming skill greater than testing skill. So we have to bring this particular guy, because this guy is the first guy who has programming skill greater than testing skill. So we have to bring this guy over here, and we can fill this particular position, because anyways when we iterate to over here, when we iterate till here, since this is the first guy which has the programming skill greater than testing skill, we know that all the people before that particular guy will have testing skill greater than programming skill. So only the testing jobs will get filled. Even when we reach this particular guy, the programming job will get filled. So there is no error in logic if we bring this particular guy to here. And okay, now you may ask, what if there was no guy who had programming skill greater than testing skill? In that case, before the last candidate, the testing jobs will get completely filled. Since the testing jobs will get completely filled, only one more candidate will remain, right? Even if that guy doesn't have programming skill greater than testing skill, according to our question, since only the programming vacancy is there, we will assign that guy to the so to replace this particular candidate with the another candidate, we have to find the position of the first candidate which has programming skill greater than the testing skill, or if there is no candidate like that, we can just set that index, we can just replace this guy with the last guy. So that's basically it. So we can do that for same thing here as well. For suppose we replace this, if we exclude this candidate, then this candidate will occupy this position, and we will do the same process again. We will find the first candidate who has programming skill greater than testing skill, and bring that guy over here. Or if there is no guy like that, we will just bring the last guy over here. Okay, that's basically the problem. And similarly, we have to do the same thing for testing as well. So I explained this test case with respect to the programming job. When the programming job gets filled first, it's similar process for testing job. It's similar process for testing jobs. So I will show you my code for this.
Okay, this is my code for the problem that we discussed just now. So I am creating a variable for n plus 1. Inside here I am gonna store the programming skill. Here I am gonna store the testing skills. I am inputting the programming and testing skills. And here, okay, here I am keeping track of the the programming jobs and the testing jobs. And after a candidates gets the programming job, I will decrease this L by 1. And after a candidate gets the testing job, I will decrease this particular R by 1. So that's how I keep track of how many vacancies are there. And I'm going to use this A and B. Okay, I told you, right, at the checkpoint, if the programming skill is greater than the testing skill, we have to replace that candidate with another candidate who after the checkpoint who has programming skill greater than testing skill. So, to find the index of the candidate, I am using A, and for the other condition, for when the tester condition comes, I'm going to use the index B, and I'm going to store the answer in this answer vector. And this prefix array is used to store the the total skill till the ith index. The total skill till the ith index. So I am iterating through the initially I am iterating through the entire array once to find the total skill, and I'm going to populate the prefix array. So if there are vacancy, if both have vacancies left, and if the programming skill is greater than testing skill, I'm gonna assign that guy to the programming job and decrease the number of programming jobs by one. And the prefix, I'm gonna set the prefix sum, till that particular index as the prefix sum till of the previous index plus programming job, since we have used programming job. And if testing for the particular guy testing skill is greater than programming skill, we are doing this and we are reducing the number of testing jobs. But if either testing or programming job is filled, here either testing or programming job is filled, okay, we will go to this else statement, and okay, we will check whether programming job is the one which has vacancy still. So if it's the one which has vacancy still, I will, you know, add it, add the prefix sum, and here I'm going to define the check. So I'm going to put a check as I minus 1, since the previous index was the index where the one of the jobs got filled, right? So that's why I'm putting check is equal to I minus 1, and I will only do this once. That's why initially check was equal to minus 1, and I'm gonna do this for the point where it gets filled. And okay, so, and I will keep track which was not filled. So here programming, there was vacancy for programming jobs, right? The programming jobs were the programming jobs had vacancies. So we will say that the programming jobs is the one which had vacancies. Otherwise, we will say that the testing jobs will are the ones which had vacancies left. And here, what we are doing is that we are finding the first guy whose programming skill is greater than testing skill, and we are finding the first guy whose programming skill is lesser than testing skill, and we are assigning that to B. Okay, this is after the checkpoint, right? We are only doing this after the checkpoint. And if you are not able to find a person whose programming skill is greater than testing skill after the checkpoint, we will assign A to the last index. That's equal to P minus 1. What is P? P was P was n plus m plus 1, n plus m plus 1, which was equal to the total number of candidates. And similarly, we do that for B as well. Right, now we will do the candidate exclusion part. So it's a simple code, like this is the total candidate exclusion part. In the long sum, we will find the suffix sum. So we will compute the suffix sum from the back. Like we don't need to keep track up till which index the suffix sum is there, because like we are not gonna visit those uh, indices again. So we can just use a variable, right? And okay, now we will check whether I is greater than check. Check is the point where either the programming jobs get filled or the testing jobs get filled, right? So if the index is greater than I told you it's very easy. What we have to do, we have to actually we just had to subtract the total sum minus the programming job if the vacancy after check was for programming jobs. So this is the variable which we use to keep track of it. If which is equal to 0, we know that after check programming jobs were the one which had vacancy, and we would have probably we would have 100% given this particular candidate, ith candidate, a programming job. So we are taking that job back. So we are reducing the we are subtracting the programming skill from the total skill. So prefix of I plus 1 plus sum will be equal to the total skill. So prefix of I plus 1 will be the total skill till the ith index, and sum will be the total suffix skill from the back. So the prefix sum and the suffix sum totally equates to the total skill, and we are subtracting the programming skill. Similarly, we do that for the testing skill if the vacancies after the check index was for the testing jobs, was for the testing jobs. Now, here is the part where we check for the indices lesser than or equal to check. So if the for the candidate the programming job the programming skill was greater than testing skill, right, we will compute the total sum, and we will subtract the programming skill, because for the candidate the programming skill was greater than the testing skill, so we would have given that candidate the programming job, and we would have added this programming skill to the total skill, so we are subtracting that back, and then we are adding the programming skill of the first candidate. Okay, we found this A, right? I told you what this A is. A is the index of the candidate after the check index which have programming skill greater than testing skill. And okay, what I'm doing here is that, so since we are bringing that guy from behind the check to the before the check, we have to subtract the contribution of that guy after the check, right? So this particular guy A, this particular candidate A would have contributed something after check, so we have to subtract that contribution. So this is the contribution that this guy, the guy A, would have contributed after the index check. So that's basically what we are doing over here, and we are pushing the answer to the answer vector, and we are reversing the vector, and we are printing the answer, the printing the values. Okay, this was the solution for the problem C. If you were able to understand this problem, please comment down below whether you were able to understand it or not. If you were not able to understand it, just tell me what part that I should improve in my explanation. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Yeah.